have the recent readings that you've gotten off-site?
Yes, the off-site readings went up to about 14 millirem, millar per hour as we went up south of the plant. And there were about 14 on-site. We didn't go on-site to measure.
Are you still getting 14 milligrams?
No, we are not. We're getting 3.
What is
You said that it went up to 14.
Yes, and it was
Governor's press secretary told us it was between 20 and 30 on the East Bank and in other areas.
On the site it was.
That's on the site.
No, he said on the site it was 125.
125 on the
Off-site,
site,
25 to 30.
25 to 30 in areas
That-
across the river.
That's what the chairman of the Nuclear Regulatory Commission told me.
That was information that then they probably got either from NRC or from the. There are hundreds of people out there with survey meters, and all this information is coming in. Our people are giving us the information that I'm giving you. That's what
14 is the highest.
we found.
I've just got to tell you, we share your frustration. It is a very difficult thing to pin these facts down so that we can give you some kind of bundle of reliable information. We're trying to do our best, but
Governor,
it is
this
difficult.
morning you said that 120 is still less than what the EPA says is the trigger level for evacuation, 120 milligrams. What is the trigger level for evacuation?
One EPA's recommended guide, I believe, is 1,000 over the course of the incident.
1,000 milligrams?
Over the course of the incident.
Over the course of the incident.
Cumulative.
Yes.
What is it
We would have
now?
had several
What are we
hundred
up to
already.
now?
We have not had several hundred already.
What's your estimate of how many we've had in this
I
area?
still think it's below 100.
Yeah, the NRC this morning.
Total, you mean hour by hour or cumulative?
Sorry, one at a time?
I mean, your cumulative total hour by hour? I mean,
Total to any one individual, I believe, is less than 100 at this point.
Are you aware that we're getting conflicting reports from like Dauphin County in terms of whether or not this was controlled or uncontrolled? Dauphin County says yes, indeed, this is controlled.
We're getting conflicting reports, too. What we're trying to do is give you our best estimate of what the accurate facts are.
You're saying it was a controlled emission, and could
No, it was an uncontrolled emission.
uncontrolled. I'm sorry, uncontrolled. Could you explain that for me? Could you make an overall statement of what that means, uncontrolled emission?
It was unexpected, and they could not stop it.
Where was that emission? In the reactor room or the auxiliary buildings?
I believe it was the auxiliary building, but I don't know.
Could we please iron out?
Same location, I think I think it's the same location as that we normally were getting
So there was no
exposure from.
problem in the reactor room that you know of?
No, there was no problem in the reactor room.
You said that water was being transferred from one tank to another tank.
From one area to another area.
What water are you talking about?
The coolant water, the high-level coolant water that contains the xenon.
Was that from one area within the auxiliary building to another?
I'm sorry, I don't know.
Primary water?
Primary water.
You don't know where it was being transferred from or to? Is that what you just said?
That's right. I don't right now. Our nuclear engineer who does is not here.
One of the reasons that the President has dispatched Mr. Denton, who is the Chief Operations Officer of the NRC here, is to answer those kinds of questions so that we have a communications facility set up between Washington, our office, other appropriate agencies that will dispel some of the multi-directional reports of facts that we get. And I hope we can answer.
What time do you think he'll be here?
I don't know.
In your conversation with the President, what did he say about his concern about this?
Well, he was concerned that there be no panic, that there be no going off half-cocked on the basis of facts that hadn't been verified, and that there be appropriate communication of the best estimate of the situation to the people. Our prime concern is the safety of the people of central Pennsylvania. And in order to assess what we must do to protect their safety, we need accurate information. And I think the President agreed with me that we needed a better capability to communicate and to fact-find, and accordingly he has sent his own representative. Because this is an NRC jurisdiction, his own representative here to assist and keep us all fully informed.
Governor, do you have license to intend to stay in Harrisburg?
Yes.
How about the Lieutenant Governor's wife? Is she going to stay in the area, or is she
Yes, well,
going
she's currently at Indiantown Gap, and she will stay there. She was in Harrisburg yesterday.
Mr. Gerusky, could you explain about the overall dosage of milligrams? Yesterday we were asked the question if there was like an average reading. You said I believe you said we didn't have one. number one, do we have one today? And number two, if in fact say the lowest level of millirems were 1 per hour since this incident took place 48 to 50 some hours ago, is that a multiple? So a person could figure out their millirem dosage by multiplying the number of hours times the average or the minimal dosage?
What we're going to try to do is find out the highest reading at any point where anybody could have been and give that as the highest. We don't, now that doesn't mean people are there, but the exposure has been varying all over the place because one, we've got some low wind speed and the wind direction is shifting all the time.
Okay, but in order to find out the dosage,
we
would
have
it be correct to multiply using the number of hours that the accident has been
MR
underway?
times hours is, MR per hour times hours will give you millirem.
And you still believe that it's under 100 on the average?
I think so. I mean, it's my educated guess, and I've been in the business since '56, and that's it.
And how many more days does this emission have to continue before it gets dangerous enough that you have to say, hey, these people have been exposed to enough?
We can't make that judgment.
I mean, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 8 months, or what? I mean, this may never be cleaned up for a while.
That's what we're concerned about.
People like Dr. Sternglass would make that judgment, would think. How long before damage would set in?
Governor Thornburgh, you were recommending people, telling people they don't have to leave. Would you recommend that people not come into the area?
Well, that's probably a good general statement, but on the other hand, there may be need for them to come into the area, and I don't want to embargo the area. I think that any unnecessary travel into the area would probably be justified.
Let's get back to the NRC thing and the amount of time before evacuation. If we are to believe the NRC readings, which you acted on this morning, of 125 MR/hour, it would only take less than 10 hours before you reach the EPA 1,000.
That 125 MR figure from the chairman of the NRC was a calculation based on the the MR reading they had above the plant at that time. That was simply a calculation of what the maximum potential dose could have been for someone downwind of the plant at that particular time. There is no reading anywhere that indicates that anyone got that heavy a dose. It was not based on any readings, and there have been no readings that high.
There's no reading of 125.
There is no reading.
The highest reading is as a result of that burst of radiation this morning.
I don't have, the highest one we had, I told you, was,
What did you say, 15 or something?
the highest one that we had off-site was 14.
What's it in Goldsboro?
As a result of that burst.
We didn't go to Goldsboro. We had the team on down where we thought the plume was.
Well, give me a geographic location. Where did you get the highest reading?
The highest reading, it varied slightly, but it was south of the plant, a mile south of the plant, to the center. And in the center, the reading at the center was about 14.
Was
It's
this
now
in a
dropped to
populated area? I mean,
it's a low population zone.
oh, okay.
That was 14 millirem, was it?
14 MR per hour.
Yeah.
The 100 millirem average that you indicate from your experience is a guess, right? Okay, now, how does that compare to x-rays? If you were to have an x-ray, how many x-rays would that be?
3 chest x-rays probably in Pennsylvania would give you 100 millirem to the chest. This is a whole body exposure. You won't get it.
But that would not necessarily be because you would be wearing clothing, right?
Have you got any reading over the course at one point where you have to say 14 RM per hour? Did you constantly record this hour by hour since the accident occurred? And can we get a reading from that one place from the start to what it is right up to now, hour by hour?
Or what was your highest rate previous to this morning's incident?
We don't have those tabulated in any fashion right now. They are tabulated at the plant. What we were planning on doing, I'm not sure if we initiated it because of this incident or not, we have surrounding the plant thermoluminescent dosimeters, which are radiation detectors as part of our routine environmental monitoring program. We were planning on pulling those this morning and having them read and replaced with new ones. I don't know if we did because of the incident. We were hoping that the course of the accident was over and that we could give you a determination of what it was at those locations surrounding the plant.
Highest reading before this morning's incident. This morning, your highest reading is 14. What was it before this morning?
Our highest reading.
Before any incident.
We found a 20 in Goldsboro.
That was the one we mentioned yesterday.
morning.
Oh, I'm not, we're saying before the incident occurred.
Oh.
Was your highest reading.
Before what incident?
Before the atomic,
Before the accident.
Before this accident.
First accident. Before the accident.
Before Wednesday dawn's accident.
It was natural background, less than 1/10 of an MR per hour.
What's what we're asking?
I'm sorry.
Governor, the utility said today that they would continue these emissions of radioactive gases, and the first emission was probably this afternoon. What will this do to your plans? Will continued emissions have an effect on what you request of the populace here? What would you anticipate if there were a series of continued...
Depends on the assessment I get from the people who are monitoring it. Depends on the assessment that I get from the people who are monitoring it.
You may have to take much more severe, if we get a lot of radioactive emission this afternoon.
We'll react to what the situation is, you know.
Do you know who set off the alarm in the city? How that was set off?
It was set off by mistake by an employee of the city.
Someone said, I think Paul said that alarm is to notify people to take cover. Are people being informed that if they get a long siren that they should head for cover if it would be reactivated? I mean, do people know what to do if they hear a siren?
Within the 10-mile
The answer to that is no.
I'm sorry, what?
The answer to that question is no. Generally, the meaning of the take cover signal is not generally known by the population and would not be used under these circumstances for that purpose.
So which city employee made the decision to set off the alarm? Wasn't it Kevin Malloy?
I don't know what his name is. No, it was set off by a low-level employee by
Wasn't a
mistake.
civil defense
It
employee?
wasn't an ordered, planned siren.
Did he just bump into it, or did he deliberately trigger?
I don't know. I wasn't there, and I'm really not terribly concerned with assessing responsibility for setting off alarms at this time.
That is not
That's not correct.
The emissions that are still coming from the reactor, are they less now than they were before, and as each emission goes, they are decreasing, correct?
No, I don't know. The second one that occurred was very small.
These gentlemen have to get back to the command post in the governor's office. That will conclude the press conference.
We'll try to keep you briefed.
We'll keep you briefed either through informal briefings by myself or further briefings here.
This broadcast has come to you live from the state capitol in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Please stay tuned to this PPTN station for further bulletin updates.